Hi everyone, Richard Ward here. So today we are going to look at Huawei's new Nova 3 smartphone. Just like my previous smartphone reviews, this review will also be focusing on the cameras on the smartphone. But having said that, I will also be going through some of the key feature and key design of this smartphone as well. And at the end of this review, I'll be sharing with you some of the photos I took using this phone. And all the photos I'm going to show you in this review are completely unedited photo, straight from the camera, or you can say straight from the smartphone. The Nova 3 is a mid-range phone sitting just below the flagship Mate and P series smartphones. But despite the fact that this is not a flagship smartphone, it has some pretty impressive hardware. First of all, it has a 6.3-inch IPS LCD screen, and it has 4 AI cameras, 2 at the front, 2 at the back. The processor is the Kirin 970 processor, which is the same 8-core processor like the one on the Mate 10 Pro and the P20 Pro. In terms of memory, it has 6GB of RAM and also 128GB of storage. So this is the same as what you have on the P20 Pro. It has a glass front and back, and as you can see, it has the very attractive this purplish bluish color option, which is very similar to the one available on the P20 Pro. And I have to say, this is one of the most gorgeous smartphones I have ever used. When I was reviewing this, every time I bring it out or put it on the table, I got so many people asking me what sort of phone I'm using. Is it a very fancy case that I have on the phone? Like, people just look at it and they say, wow, that looks really nice. And yeah, everyone seems to love the design of the phone. Now, in a typical Huawei fashion, the phone comes with the screen protector already applied and also comes with a phone case in the box. But because the phone looks so nice and shiny, I just choose to not use the case at all during the whole review period. It's because I feel like it's a bit of crime if I put a phone case to, cover up such a beautiful and shiny glass back of the phone. And also because of the shiny glass back and I choose not to use the phone case, the phone is very slippery. So yeah, I always feel like I'm going to drop the phone anytime. But fortunately, I've been using it for about 2 weeks now and I have not dropped it even once. So that's a good thing. So hopefully I won't drop it just after this review. Now the phone's running Android 8.1 with the EMUI 8.2 on top. I know some of you don't really like the EMUI, but personally I've been using EMUI on my various phones in the last 2 years or so, and I have to say I actually quite enjoyed it. The user interface is quite nice looking and very smooth, and it does offer quite a few features that the stock Android doesn't have. Now if you look at the front of the phone, there is a notch at the top, and the notch is bigger than the one on the P20 Pro because inside it there are 2 cameras, while the P20 Pro only has 1 front-facing camera. Now personally, I'm not a big fan of the notch, so the first thing I do when I got the phone is that I make the notch invisible by going to the menu and notch and then hide it. And to me, without the notch, this looks so much better. So the phone has a micro SD card slot, so it'll be good for people who want to store lots of photo, video, or music. And at the bottom of the phone, there is a USB-C type connector, which supports fast charging, and there is also a 3.5mm headphone jack. Unfortunately, the phone doesn't support NFC, so this could be a deal breaker for some people who really want NFC. The phone has a fingerprint sensor at the back, which works really fast, and it also has the face unlock feature that was available on the P20 Pro, and then later on they bring it back to the Mate 10 Pro. So the face unlock works very fast, and it also works under different kind of lighting, from really bright, middle of day harsh sunlight to completely darkness. It still works very well. There is also a little LED that's hiding behind the top speaker here. Now I'm not too sure if it's because Huawei trying to save some space there, they put the LED indicator light like half behind the top speaker. So if you put the phone on the desk and you are sitting on the left side of the phone, then you can see the LED light quite well. Now, unfortunately, if you are sitting on the right side of the phone, then you wouldn't be able to see the LED indicator light quite clearly. Overall, I'm really impressed by the build quality of the phone. It feels very solid, very well made, and it also feels a lot lighter than the P20 Pro for some reason, even though the number seems to suggest the difference is only like 10 or 15 gram. But when I'm holding the two phones side by side, this one definitely feels a lot lighter. Okay, next let's talk about the cameras on this phone, and let's start with the rear cameras first. At the back of the phone, there are two cameras here. One has a 16 megapixel color sensor and the other one has a 24 megapixel monochrome sensor. So both cameras have a f1.8 large aperture lens in front. The cameras are not Leica branded, so I did some comparison with a Mate 10 Pro, which has a similar setup, slightly faster aperture but with Leica brand lenses. So I did some comparison shots to find out what are the difference between the cameras on the Nova 3 and the Mate 10 Pro. So let's look at the result. These are the raw files from the two cameras. These are completely unedited. I did downscale the photo from the Nova 3 to the same resolution as the Mate 10 Pro because the Nova 3 output a 16 megapixel raw file while the Mate 10 Pro output only a 12 megapixel raw file. So I just normalize the resolution and then compare the result. If you look at the sharpness, the center sharpness seems to be pretty much identical between the two cameras. And if we move on to the corners, I would say the two cameras, the sharpness is pretty much the same as well. And also I would say the color seems to be very similar between the two lenses. However, I do find one thing that the Mate 10 Pro seems to be doing quite a bit better. Is the lens flare resistant. I noticed that when I'm shooting photos when there's a very bright light source in front of the camera, for example like this photo when the sun is in front of the camera, then with the Nova 3 I would get quite a bit more lens flare when you compare it to the photo from the Mate 10 Pro. And also look at the next photo. This is probably a bit of an extreme case. This is the worst example I can find from all the photos I shot. When you are shooting in a very dark place with some bright light, then you can see a bit of lens flare or like a reflection from the photo that I shot on the Nova 3. It is something that the Leica camera on the Mate 10 Pro or the P20 Pro doesn't have. So overall, I think there is a bit of difference between the dual camera on the Nova 3 and the dual Leica camera on the Mate 10 Pro or the P20. But is the difference big enough for you to pay more and go to the flagship phone? I guess this is a question that you have to answer yourself. But anyway, apart from the lens flare, I'm pretty impressed by the photo that was shot on the Nova 3. The dynamic range seems to be pretty good for a smartphone. The color is also very nice and the high ISO performance seems to be very good as well. I took a lot of photos under very low light conditions. Because of that, the ISO go to quite high, like around 3200, and some even go to 4000. But despite such a high ISO, the output image is still pretty good quality. I won't say like they're awesome at ISO 3200, but they are definitely very usable. Even the JPEG streak from the phone is still pretty good. I think the JPEG are still a little bit over sharpened, which is something I noticed on the P20 Pro as well. But apart from that, the JPEG color, everything looks very nice. So when you turn on the AI mode, the changes applied by the camera seems to be a lot more conservative when you compare to the previous smartphone. And I quite like it because if you have watched my previous review, I said sometimes I prefer if I can tune down the AI adjustment a little bit because I feel like sometimes the changes applied by the AI on the previous Huawei phone seems a little bit too much, and now I feel like it is a much more balanced approach. And speak about the AI scene recognition on the Nova 3 seems to be working very well. It can recognize the scene very quickly and quite accurately most of the time. The camera app that comes with the phone is very similar to the one that comes with the flagship camera. The major difference is that because it doesn't have a Leica brand camera on it, the fonts inside the camera app is no longer using the Leica fonts, it's just using a more generic font. So it doesn't look as cool, but basically the interface is pretty much the same. Now they have made a few adjustments to the feature of the camera app. Because Nova 3 is targeting a slightly different market than the flagship Mate and P series, it's targeting a much younger generation market. So there are a few adjustments to the camera app. So first thing is that the Pro mode is no longer available from the main menu. It's still there, but you have to go to the secondary menu and then you can find the Pro mode from there. So pretty much all the advanced features that's available on the P20 and Mate 10 series are also available on the Nova 3. So as we mentioned before, you have the Pro mode, you have light painting mode, you have HDR, you have panorama, you also have the monochrome mode, and you have the super slow motion video mode is also available on the Nova 3, which I think is probably the first time ever that a non-flagship camera has a super slow motion video. So with the Nova 3, you can capture 480 frames per second video at 720p resolution, or you can go slightly slower at 120 frames per second but at 1080p resolution. And when you are recording at 480 frames per second, because the total time of the clip you can record is, I think it's actually, the real time is actually under 1 second. But when you play back, it will be a couple of seconds because you play back at much slower speed. So it's quite hard for you to, manually try to capture, trigger the exact moment, to record the exact moment using just by tapping it. So what Huawei did is that they have created a box that you can place somewhere on the screen, and you will try to detect if there's any movement that happened inside the box, and once it happened, then it will trigger the camera so that you can record that precise movement when something happened inside the box. So that's a pretty cool feature, and it does make it a lot easier to capture those super slow motion video. This is a feature that when the P20 Pro was launched, it was not available, but I noticed that with one of the latest updates, then they also added to the P20 Pro as well. In terms of the quality of those super slow motion video, I would say the 480 frames per second video, the quality is okay, but not super detailed. So they are pretty good if you want to share it on, say, Instagram or Facebook, or having a bit of fun, but you're probably not going to use it for any very serious work. Overall, I think it's still pretty good to see super slow motion video that's available on a non-flagship smartphone. I mentioned before that the Pro mode is not available on the main screen. You have to go to the secondary screen to find it. So instead of Pro mode, what Huawei did is that they put the AR lens mode onto the main screen that you can select from there. And this is because Nova 3, as I said, is targeting a younger audience, and the AR lens mode is specially designed for the younger audience. If you have a Nova 2, you're probably quite familiar with the AR lens mode because it's a feature that is available there. Huawei did a few changes and improvement to the overall AR lens mode. It's pretty fun. There are quite a few different modes in the AR lens mode. Now, first of all, you have a new 3D emoji feature. Basically, it's just the camera is trying to detect your facial gesture movement and map it to a 3D character that you choose and do it all in real time. It's quite a fun feature. I've been playing with quite a bit. My kids really love it. And you have the effects mode, which should turn your face into a cartoon bunny or little dog or some other cute animal, which is quite fun. Probably not for me, but it's still quite cool. And then you have the gesture effects mode. Pretty much you just do some hand gesture and will detect it and then apply some cool effect onto the photo. And then there's the background mode. Pretty much the camera will detect your face and separate it from the background and then replace the background according to the film you choose. So you can replace the background with some comic style background, or you can choose, for example, like a Sydney Harbour Bridge. So you replace the background with the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It looks pretty cool, and there are quite a few different films that you can play with. Then you have the 3D objects mode, so you can choose one of the 3D objects and then try to put it, into the real world, overlay on top of the real world. It's quite similar to the Google, I think it's called Google AR stickers. I feel the Google AR sticker is probably a little bit more accurate and looks better, but this one is also pretty good as well. So the Nova 3, just like the Nova 2, has two front-facing camera. So this is something that even their flagship Mate and P series doesn't have. They both only have one front-facing camera. The two front-facing camera, one is a 24 megapixel color sensor and the other one is a 2 megapixel monochrome sensor. Both of them has the f2 aperture, so this is also quite big as well. The monochrome sensor is pretty much used to help create the 3D depth map of your face. In other words, just trying to create a 3D model of your face in real time. And this is to allow them to implement a few features nicely. For example, to simulate the shallow depth of field as you would get when you are shooting with a DSLR with a fast aperture lens. The front-facing camera don't have autofocus, they have fixed focus because they are mainly just designed for you to take selfie. And when you are taking selfie, you're pretty much always at a certain distance. You won't be like miles away or you won't be super close to the phone. So I did a bit of test just trying to work out roughly what's the focus distance. From my quick and dirty test, it seems to suggest the focus distance is around 45 centimeters from the phone. So if you hold the phone about 45 centimeters away from your face, then you can get the sharpest selfie that you possibly can get. I took a few photos and just to see how the different beauty mode setting would affect how my selfie would look like. Now this is the first one that I turned off all the beauty feature. As you can see, the photo is pretty sharp because the camera doesn't apply any skin softening or any adjustment to my face. Next, this photo, I turn on the beauty mode and I put the setting to 5, which is the midway between 0 and 10. And next, I bump it up to maximum. I took this photo using the beauty level 10. To be honest, this looked quite horrible to me. I absolutely don't like it. But some of you may like it. This is what I look like with the beauty mode setting set to maximum. Instead of just a simple 0 to 10 scale adjustment, Huawei has also added a custom beauty setting mode for you to completely customize how you want the camera app to beautify your selfie. So there are quite a few different settings you can customize from the skin tone you like the most and how much smoothing you want to apply to your skin and a few other things like do you want it to remove the dark circle below the eye or do you want it to apply the slimming, make you thinner. There are quite a few different things you can adjust so you can choose whatever you think you like the most and then you can save it so that the camera will automatically apply those settings when you are taking the next selfie. This is probably not the feature designed for me as I don't really take too many selfies, but I think a lot of people will really love this feature. When you are taking selfie using the front-facing camera, there's also the new HDR Pro mode. When you turn on the HDR Pro feature, the camera will try to make some hardware level adjustment to optimize the dynamic range. So for example, the background will not blow out so easily. There's also the 3D lighting mode. There are a couple of different 3D lighting you can apply to your selfie. To be honest, I tried it a bit. I personally don't really like it. I find the adjustment is either not really obvious or like way over the top. But yeah, give it a try if you have a chance to use the phone or you bought the phone and see if you like it or not. Feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what is your favorite selfie settings. The camera can capture video up to 4K resolution or 1080p video up to 60 frames per second. The video from the phone looks pretty good. Unfortunately, because the lenses doesn't have any optical image stabilizer built in and it doesn't apply any electronic image stabilization as well. So the footage can be a little bit shaky, especially when you are walking around when you are taking some video footage. The Huawei Nova 3 is a smartphone with flagship level hardware build quality but without the flagship level price tag. The phone looks absolutely gorgeous and there are lots of very cool and fun features. After using the phone for a couple of weeks, it's very easy to see why Huawei is now the second biggest smartphone manufacturer in the world, and it's quite likely they can overtake Samsung in the near future and become the world's biggest smartphone manufacturer. I would even say the Nova 3 is better than the Mate 10 Pro, which is their flagship smartphone released less than 1 year ago. And this shows you how fast Huawei as a smartphone manufacturer is improving within such a short period of time. So before I finish this video and show you some more photos I shot on the Nova 3, I want to say thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet, and I will see you next time.